Yes. Studio talk. We're well on our way. Bro, Coach Grimson hit the ground running. He's back on the island. He's not even a week on the island yet. And we see him at Premier League games. We see him, calling up his training camp, his local training camp, having meetings. Adidas deal full in swing. I see people wearing them gear already, the Gen Sec. What is going on? Is a new JFF. But what are we seeing? I'm not even seeing anybody beating the JFF now for a change. How do you feel about the coach, his presence on the island, and just the feel around the JFF and the national teams?
JFF feels like a FA. It feels like
Yeah.
an actual FA and not like a party shop as it's so been done before. The new sense of professionalism, the new sense of aggression, the new sense of assertiveness, and this go-getting attitude that we've seen introduced by the new faces that have been introduced to the program. We're really enjoying it, and I think the first project that this JFF will take on under 17, I think it will go off with a success because of this attitude. Grimson, his presence is giving Garrett Southgate, bro. I'm really enjoying his fervor and his attitude towards Jamaican football. He's definitely inculcating himself in the culture, and he's working full time. He's expressing the mantra, representing the mantra that being a national team head coach is a 24/7 job. It's not a FIFA day job, or it's not a 9 to 5. It's a 24/7 job, and at every given point in his life, from 12 midnight to 12 noon to 12 midnight again, he's the national head coach of Jamaica, and he's showing that attitude perfectly, and I think it's going to represent within the program.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing we have to mention is the feel. The feel is different. You know, I don't see much negativity towards the appointment in terms of the coach. From it was announced, I didn't see any negativity. In terms of the work that he's done, we lost the game against Argentina. I didn't see any bad comments. I didn't see any negativity. We went to Cameroon and we did something there. Didn't see any negativity. No, the under 17s have been called up. Not seeing any negativity. The Gen Sec appointment, not seeing any negativity.
We've
Just the feel.
seen some negativity regarding the Gen Sec. A lot of people have been saying Dennis Chung doesn't know anything about football. A lot of people have been saying he's not the
Well, the
right
people
guy.
that the people that matter and the people that count.
Eh,
The people that I don't see any of the big talking heads, that people really tune it. I don't really see much of them against the appointment. Obviously, people on social media, maybe some of our supporters are not so enthused about that move. But as I was saying, the feel around the JFF is different. It's
for sure.
different to, let's say, 12 months ago. It's a different JFF. It's a different. The things that they're doing just feel a bit more genuine. It feels that we're taking steps into the right decision. And this coach, I feel like he's the man that on the football side and on the development side, he's the man that is leading the charge because yes, we spoke about Dennis Chung and not necessarily being a football man, but Coach Williamson is a football man. And he's done it at the highest level. He's been to the World Cup, he's been to the Euros, and we've seen his success. And hopefully that can translate to Jamaican football. No, you hinted at it a while ago. He called up 32 players for a local training camp. And this is players, as I said, local players. So I'm not going to go through this list, but it is on the screen for all the people that are not familiar with the list just yet. When you look at this list, bro, what jumps out at you? What do you think? What comes to mind when you think about this 2-day training camp?
I think it's ingenious. I'm really enamored with this idea, and this is something that should have been done for a while, and I think is something that should continue to be done. Upon looking on this list first, the first thing I thought about was a Jamaica B. We see teams like England have under 21s, and I think that's the direction that we should go into. Like, I think it should be a local under 23 squad. But there are going to be exceptions and outstanding players that have to get a look in. So I can understand how we can't go in that direction just yet. But I think going forward, this core of players that have been called up, and I've seen a lot of young players. Don't get me wrong, there's some 17-year-olds on this list and some 18-year-olds. But I think going forward, it should be an under 23 type situation where there's like 30 at the best under 23 or under 25 players who have potential to then make the move to the next level. But I like the idea of getting a group of players together and seeing where the local talent is. I genuinely don't believe that anybody playing locally should get into the squad, but there's a lot of people on this list that are on the verge of leaving, And on the moment that they do leave and get their professional contracts, the coaches would have already been familiar with them. If they get to naturalize. So this is a great idea. And I just
Yeah, I agree.
want to see this squad, this 30-man squad, be kept together somewhat and be playing friendly matches as well.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from the coach and what is his idea on this training camp. Is it to search for that one or two more players to add to your, let's say, list of 30 or 35 that you will always play? Is it to, start a culture, of the way Jamaica wants to play and get that down to the clubs? What is the idea? Because as you said, I would not want to see any local player in the national team that is over the age of 21. But if we're going to make a secondary team, it needs to be under 23. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing players here that are over 23 years old.
Yeah.
So if the idea is to, let's say, have a Jamaica B, it can't be just willy-nilly best players playing in at the local level. No, it needs to be the best players under 23 that has a legitimate shot of making it into the senior team. Other than that, calling up 28-year-olds just to train, nah, that's not the idea that I have. And I think, this is probably the entrance to our under 20. I'm seeing a lot of young players, and don't get me wrong, and I'm excited for those young players that are in the squad. But I would love to just hear from the coach, what is the idea? Where do you think he's going with this? And under 23 Jamaica B type of thing, or just, to invite the best players from the country to push one or two of them into the national team? Where do you think he's going with this one?
Well, yeah, and we say under 23, and I think that would be the best possible situation for this. However, there are probably players on the verge of international contract. So for example, an Amal Knight would have been playing in Harbourview just a second ago, right? Based on what I believe, Amal Knight would not be eligible to play for the national team. However, Amal Knight would have been in and around and going through contract talks to go overseas. So I think this is probably a camp to see all the people who might be eligible to play for Jamaica, and the moment that they get their move or the moment that they show that they can play at a professional level, at a higher level, the coaches have already been familiar with them. So I think that's what he's going for. However, I don't think this is the place for that. I think if you're going to have a B team, it has to be at least under 23s. I think that's where it needs to go. But I like the idea, and there is a lot of youth in the team.
Yeah, that's the one bad thing I can say, and that's not even a bad thing because I don't know where he's going with this. And that's the one negative I can think about. In terms of the positives, I love it, man. I think that this is where it starts. This is where our culture starts. This is where the people know the idea and the direction of the coach. Whenever we have, let's say, a call up, we have an international window and some players pop out and are injured, we can introduce players seamlessly into that, or one or two players seamlessly into that. Let's say we have an international window in March where we play the Nations League and one of our players go down. Let's say it's not a main player, but one of the fringe players go down. The 18th man go down. We can look to this training camp and say, oh, I know a player that stood out the last two times I called that a training camp. Let's go for Dujan Richards. Let's go for Malachi Douglas. Let's go for Ramon Owell, and that would make sense. So I love this idea. I love knowing the players that we have that can represent Jamaica. What I want to know though is, do these players have a real legitimate shot? And I'd love to ask the coach that, can these players make the squad? Because if we think about our last two squads that represent Jamaica, barring the Cameroon one, these players have no shot. If we think about those players.
But you think about an English B, who would have seen the likes of Cameron Archers and Ali Watkins and Max Aarons and stuff like that in their time, being called up for the England B. England B calls up 25 people every single time. How many of those people would realistically have a shot to ever play for the English national team? Because chances are, if you can play for the English national team, regardless of your age, you're going to be called up in the first team. Mm-hmm. So you don't know what the future holds. So they probably don't realistically stand a chance of making it into the national team. No, but I'm saying they're one contract away. They're one step away from proving themselves. We speak about Amal Knight. I think Amal Knight being at Harbourview, the goalkeepers have to be Andre Blake, Dylan Barnes, and Kanaya Boyz Clark. But now Andre Blake in USL, now Amal Knight is back in the USL, I could well see that it could be Andre Blake, Amal Knight, and Boyce Clark or Dylan Barnes. You get me? So that's just the difference from you playing
Yeah.
local and international. So a lot of these players, they don't know where they might be next season. You know, Kima Jones, Malachi Douglas, who knows what they will be in 2 years. You know, Ramon Howell, who knows what they'll be in 2 years. So they might not realistically have a chance to play for the senior team right now, but who knows, in 2 years they might.
Who are some omissions? Who are some of the players that you expected to be on this 32-man list that you don't see?
Okay, so all season we've been singing the praises of Dejan Richards and Shaquan Satchel, right? As the two best players that played in the Manning Cup, and I think two of the best players that have played in schoolboy football. Upon reconsideration, second glance, reevaluating and analyzing the situation, I do believe that Romain Blake would have been not only the second best player to play in the Manning Cup, but the second best player to play in all of schoolboy football. A central defender, I think he's criminally underrated, as rated as he is. I think he's still underrated, and I think if Okima Jones and Malachi Douglas and Deshaun Richards are called up in a program based on their performances in the Chapitan Maroon, Malachi Douglas is not even a player who would have featured for Chapitan Maroons as much as, let's say, a Devante Hodges, or a Romain Blake for the Waterhouse team, a Makonajic who came and started right away for his Premier League team. Malachi Douglas wasn't necessarily a mainstay or starter in the Chapitan Maroons team. So to see him called up, and then to see the likes of a Romain Blake omitted, I think that's treacherous. I think that's criminal because Romain Blake is indeed next up. And trust me, Mr. Speed might not like me saying this, but Richard King, watch your back. Because this little 17-year-old, he's coming. And there's no indication right now that Richard King is a far better defender than he is. Romain Blake is one of the best defenders in the JPL. And I think that's unequivocal. And to not have him in a team like this, I think it's criminal.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's the first thing that jumped out at me. In fact, I went over this list 3 times before we came on here because I just wanted to know, am I not seeing something? It didn't even make sense to me. I saw the first line is where the Waterhouse players are, and only 2 Waterhouse players made the squad. Kemar Foster, who has been outstanding for Waterhouse, by the way, and Ramon Howell, who's their captain, and also has been outstanding. But right after those 2 players, if you were going to mention another player for Waterhouse, it would have to be Romain Blake. And somebody said
Blake has only played, I think, 4 games this season, though, because the recent completion of schoolboy football. But Waterhouse's fortune has turned completely around, like a pendulum has swung as soon as Romain Blake walked into their central defense, and he's been a revelation for them. And I think he's one of their best players and one of the best defenders in the whole Jamaica Premier League. And if the likes of Okima Jones and Malachi Douglas have been included, I think there's no way that Romain Blake should have been left out.
Yeah, I agree. And when I look at the list and the caliber of players that are there, yes, they are good players. I think about Simpson from Arnett Gardens and some of those defenders, good players.
Yeah.
But Romain Blake is right in that class with them, and he's 17 years old. So even
Richard Kings,
Richard Kings, there we go. If those players are indeed better than him, it's not by a lot.
No.
And he's 17 years old, which would then make him on potential higher than them and give him even more of a reason to be in this training camp because he's 17 years old.
He's going to I think probably going to captain the Jamaica under-20 team in the next cycle. Like that. Well, I don't know if under-20 different because he already played under-20. So I'm not sure if that makes him eligible. I know that for the under-17s they only get 1 go at it. I'm not sure if it's different for the under-20s. But if it is a case where he is eligible to play under-20s again, I think he'll be the captain of that team because he has 1 more cycle. So I think Romain Blake should have been called up. He's been outstanding in the JPL. He's been outstanding in schoolboy football. One of the best young players in the country right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And a few players that I'm excited to see. Nicholas Hamilton for Harborview. I feel like he's a really good player. I really think this kid should get not a kid, he's a big man at this point, but I really expect him to get a move very soon. He stood out for Harborview last year in the Premier League, and this year he's right up there as their best player. Another player I'm excited to see is Ramon Howell. He was introduced into the senior setup. I don't expect him to have the role that he played, not necessarily getting as much game time, but he's definitely on the fringes of one of the best players in the JPL. As a midfielder, he is outstanding, man.
Every single time, like Jamaica doesn't boast their full complement, and even many times when they do, Ramon Howell is still included. He was
Yeah.
a very good player in the Cameroon tour. He really stood out, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he traveled with the team to New York when they played against Argentina. So Ramon Howell is one who possesses great quality. He's one of the best central midfielders in the country. I really, really, really would love to see him make the move internationally. I think,
Mhm.
I think Howell makes a move, he's a mainstay in this Jamaica national team. I really
He's
believe.
good enough, man. He's a good player.
Yeah.
Very good player.
So I'm excited to see what more from him. And he's not too old. I think he's 26 years old. So I think
Yeah,
he's
and another player that I'm expecting this, just a conversation on this player to be a segment by itself in another show. But Whisper getting the look in is a big deal. Dujan Richards, another 17-year-old, standing out in the schoolboy football, and that is the only reference for it for him. But he did so well that no one can say, yo, we're unsure what he can do at with playing with grown men in the Premier League. 17 years old, Whisper being the best player in schoolboy football, getting a look in and invited to the senior, a local training camp. That is a big deal, and I'm excited to see how well he does in this training camp. We obviously can't get an eye in, but I'm sure we'll hear some whispers coming out of the camp. How do you feel about Whisper getting the look in?
I'm going to try and get an iron. The camp started today, didn't it?
Yes, it started today. I'm not sure if it is even an open training session.
Yeah, I might attempt to stop by UA tomorrow. Who knows? Let's see where the wind blows. But I definitely want to see how Dejan Richards looks in this training situation. I hope he really impresses. He's the one person I think that might have a chance to make it into the senior team come March. Not because he's the best on this list, even though God knows he may well be, but that might be a stretch. But not because he's the best on this list, but I think because he has the most potential of anybody on this list. And I hope he goes to that camp and dominates like we know he can.
That's right. That's right. People, this is the first segment of Studio Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. Let us know your opinion. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section and in the live chat. How do you feel about this training camp? Does it make any sense to involve these local players in a training camp? Does any of these players have a legitimate chance of making it into the senior team? Let us know in the comment section. Please talk to us. Who are you excited to see in this 32-man squad? And which player you expected to see that missed out on it that you want to talk about? Mention those names in the live chat, please. It's Studio Talk, and we'll be back with the second segment after this.